Welcome to Miracle Distribution Center's live stream meeting on A Course in Miracles. If you missed any of tonight's broadcast or would like to view previous meetings, you can become a subscriber below and access our video archives to experience the practical power of the Course at your convenience. The suggested tax-deductible donation for this meeting is $10, but feel free to give whatever you can. Right now, join us live with Center founder Beverly McNeff.
Welcome to our wonderful viewing and listening family. Thank you so much if you're viewing on our center site. Thank you for coming. If you're viewing on Facebook or YouTube and you want to find out more about the center, you can go either above my head or below my head and find a link there that will tell you more about the center. And go there and learn a little bit more. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We love that, to have you join us. Go there and follow us because you can view a lot of clips from the meetings, from our different meetings, as well as have some inspiration, little clips of thoughts from the Course with that are beautifully illustrated. And that's under the control of Tess over here. So she does a magnificent job. We're so grateful for that. But before we get started tonight, we have a lot to talk about. But before we do get started, I want to welcome those who sit with me every week here. My wonderful husband, Mr. Paul McNeff. Thank you, Paul, always. Our wonderful center mom, Tess Patton over here. Thank you, Tess. We appreciate you. Our wonderful administrator in the back there, Mr. Darren Zakich, keeps everything running. And then Mr. Bill Castle from afar. Thank you, Bill. We appreciate you. It's a crazy time right now. Even here in Southern California, we still are experiencing our wildfires. Our winds kind of picked up again today. And I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the fact. I know that we now have a new administration in our government, and President Trump actually commented about the wildfires in California, saying that nobody was doing anything and that they were just letting homes burn. And I want to correct that right now. We have wildfires and we've got winds that change in chaotic directions, and our firefighters and our first responders are doing a miraculous job. There is no standing back and letting someone's home go up in smoke. So maybe we need to correct that so that no one is ever doubting the fact that there's so much damage to the state of California. The state of California that produces 14% of the GDP of the United States of America. Our state here produces double the amount of federal income tax, $86 billion every year, so that other states are protected against their natural disasters. So when a state like California is burning and does need the support from the federal government, we need to rally around every state that goes through these kinds of natural disasters. So I hope we can all understand that that is not acceptable coming from a president of the United States, and I say that still knowing he is a holy child of God, but he needs to correct his perception here. So I just want to make sure everybody's aware of the fact that we have the most remarkable set of firefighters and first responders, and we've got help from Mexico and Canada across our borders that have come in to help support this. We have people from New Mexico and Arizona and Washington and Oregon and all the different states that rally around. This is the best of our country. Of our country is when we are faced with natural disasters, we do not shirk our responsibility, and we don't ask if you're a red state or a blue state or what political party you belong to. We rally and come to help and support one another. So let's make sure that is foremost in our minds always, that we are here to be truly helpful. And we don't look to decide whether you're acceptable in my sight. We are all acceptable in God's sight. And if someone is in need, as Jesus said, we minister to everyone. So we always look, as Mr. Rogers says, for the helpers. And you know what? In California, just like in every state that goes through these natural disasters, there are plenty of helpers out there. So I just want to make that remark before we get started, that we are always loving one another. And that's what I say. We can disagree without being disagreeable. We can correct mistaken thoughts and hopefully not carry on those thoughts anymore. And I hope that all of the state's representatives are doing so. I hope that they, whether they are Democrat or Republican, are informing President Trump that his remarks that our firefighters and our first responders are not doing their job is incorrect. And that when he comes out here on Friday, which I guess he is going to come, that those first responders are saying, no, we're working overtime to make sure everyone is safe. And they're going to have to take away some of their work to protect him while he's here, because that becomes, when people enter these areas when we're going through disasters, it can kind of be take away from our first responders. So it's very important that we have compassion for everyone going through challenges. And we are faced with climate change. As a matter of fact, there was a huge storm. Some of you may know about this. I know in Pensacola, Florida, there's snow on the beaches. So if we don't think there's climate change, there's not usually snow on beaches in Florida. So there's climate change going on, and we do need to be aware of this. And we should bring all this into our minds and allow the Holy Spirit to come in and to guide us, because, you and I, we're entitled to miracles. That means a miraculous consciousness can come into our minds. I know you might say, well, I'm not the person who can come up with those ways of doing things. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. I'm not a climatologist. I can't do it. But you know what? Yes, you can. It's amazing to me. There's so many stories throughout history of people who were not doctors, but came up with cures for diseases because they had the passion to do so. There are people who are not climatologists, but who have a passion to be of service and have come up with ways to be truly helpful. When we open our minds to the power of God that abides within us now, miraculous things can take and will take place. So we can do it. We can do it. And I want to welcome some new listeners. I want to welcome Carrie in Washington and Everett in California. Thank you for being a subscriber. We want to give you big air hugs and kisses. We appreciate those who do subscribe to our weekly meetings, because you make it possible for us to continue our live stream. Our live stream is heard by 75% of the world's countries. Let's go ahead and put up that map, Bill. And all of those areas in blue that you're going to see in just a moment represent the countries that view and my gosh, how did we get every country in the, well, almost. I can't see the outline there as well. Maybe I'm missing it. I seem to be missing the lines from some of the continents. Am I missing that? Maybe it's on that one. I just can't see it. But there you go. That's the, I lost borders. And you know what? That's a good thing. I lost the borders on my monitor, but maybe that's a good thing. Anyway, I want to start out tonight by talking about our inspirational email that went out today. And it was called Beyond Echoes in essence. And the whole point of this is something that I've been thinking about for a long time. Of course, the course is big on what we perceive out there. It isn't just happening out there, it's happening in our own minds. And this has often made me think about an echo. When our son was really little, I would always try to figure out ways to explain science, or, yeah, there he is, a little teeny guy like that. How do you explain the world? How do you talk about things that are going on that are maybe difficult or difficult concepts for a little teeny mind at that point, which I think you should always talk up to children, not down to children, but helping them to understand in relationship to what they can understand. And how do you understand that what you give, or what's happening out there, is kind of an experience of how you're viewing it inside of yourself? And so we kind of talked about echoes. And so one day I said, let's walk outside. And we walked outside, and we live at the top of a hill. And so it's, asphalt going down. And I knew that if we yelled down at the end of the street, it would echo back to us. So I said, hello, and then the echo went, hello, hello, hello. And Jeffrey just giggled. I remember the look on his face, like, whoa, there's something happening. And I said, you say it. And then he was kind of shy about it, but, then he would finally boom out, hello, and the echo would come back. And I said, now you have to realize, I said, is that echo independent of you? It was just, but he giggled because it seemed like it was. It seemed like it was independent of him. And I said, that echo isn't independent of you. You know, it's you, right? And he goes, yeah. I said, it's the reverberation, it's, you know, it's atmosphere, all the things that go on. But it is happening because of us. It is not independent of us. And that's really how we have to think about everything in this world. Everything we are experiencing in this world right now is an action that we are putting forth, and we're experiencing the reverberation of that. So in essence, the course would tell us, especially in those early workbook lessons. So if you're not doing the workbook lessons, you really need to, because it does lay down the course's thought system about how we see and how we view everything. That's important for us. It's important for us to really look at those, look at our thinking, and to begin to change from the inside out, because everything that's happening out there is coming from what's in us. And an echo is a great illustration of that. It is not independent of you, although at times it seems quite independent. You know, the world seems independent from what we're doing. Now, there's a collective consciousness, and the Course even talks about there is a collective consciousness of thought that we have all kind of bought into. And that's kind of not where it's going to focus on, this collective consciousness, because we've all agreed on certain things and certain standards in essence. But where we can make a change is how we perceive each other, and that we must make. And so the Course uses this. This is a powerful section. It's in chapter 21. We're going to put it up right now. It's reason and perception, and it's the introduction to this particular section, reason and projection. It says projection makes perception. So what we project out makes the experience we have, right? Like the echo. The echo was projected out, makes the experience we have. The world you see, again, take it from a broader perspective now, the world you see is what you gave it. Nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. And that's important for us to recognize. We've given it everything. And so we can go, oh, well, then I can stop it. Yeah, you can. Oh, it's just a thought in my mind. And that it is. It's nothing more than that. But it's also nothing less than that. Because changing our minds from old patterns from the past is not as easy to do as we sometimes casually think. Therefore, to you, whatever is going on is very, very important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. So we can't necessarily change the world out there, but we can change the decision to make the echo and thereby change our world. Perception is simply a result. So what we see out here is not the cause of what is going on. It is simply the result of choices we make, the echoes we put forth. And that is why it goes on to say order of difficulty in miracles is meaningless. We're going to talk about that tonight too. Again, the Course would tell you it is not so hard to do those things because it is a thought within your mind that seems to limit you. So order of difficulties is meaningless. Everything looked upon, it says, with vision, and that's when we turn to the Holy Spirit within, is healed and holy. And nothing perceived without vision means anything. And where there is no meaning, there is chaos. And that probably is pretty much where we kind of find ourselves right now. We have not taken a healed and whole way of looking at our world. We have taken a very myopic way of looking at our world. We are not looking at our world as being citizens of this world, which is, we are citizens of our thoughts. And our world represents our thoughts. So we really are citizens of this world. We have decided to build walls, divide ourselves off, withdraw ourselves from ways of communicating and joining with each other. And when you withdraw and when you isolate, a society begins to die. And there are a lot of countries out there that have kind of begun to take this path of isolation, pulling back, fearing. And when we do this, we do begin to die as societies. And so that is why it behooves us to begin the process and to take this very seriously of focusing our attention on healing our perceptions. That we really do need to rely on a miracle to transcend and lift our minds out of the darkness and the chaos to the light and the love and the unity that is our truth. There was a recent lot of festivities with a new president, rightly so. And there was an inaugural, it's called the inaugural prayer service that is held at the Washington Cathedral, and it is presided over by the bishop of Washington, D.C. It's an Episcopal church. It's an Episcopal bishop, and the bishop is a woman by the name of Mary Ann Buddy, and she is a 65-year-old woman who is married with a husband and 2 adult children and grandkids, and so she was gave an incredible homily about unity and about healing. And the Trump family was there, and all of the dignitaries were there. I don't think Trump liked it very much and has spoken very negatively about it, but I really want you to watch it. And so I've put it up on our blog because she speaks about unity and gives 3 incredible points about unity, where she says the foundation of unity, the first foundation of unity, she says, is honoring the inherent dignity of every human being, which is as all the faiths represent here in all of our lives. All faiths affirm the birthright of all people as children of one God. So the first point of unity is honoring our inherent dignity as children of God. And I think we can all agree with that. That's not something you can disagree with. That helps us to find a baseline. You know, sometimes in how do we work things out, you find a baseline to begin with. And here's the baseline. Every human being has inherent dignity. And if we can relate at that level, if that can be the thought held in our mind, imagine the experience, the echo that will reflect back if we are honoring that dignity in each person. And the second one, she said, is the foundation of honesty. She said both in private conversations and public discourse. If we are not willing to be honest, there is no use, she says, praying for unity, because our actions work against the prayers themselves. And there you go again with this idea that if what we do within isn't matched with an expression of that without, or vice versa, we are in conflict, we're in chaos. You know, and that's what the Course says, you know, about perception makes, or projection makes perception. What we project is an experience of what is going on. And the third point, her third foundation, is humility. She said, we all need this because we are all fallible human beings. We all make mistakes. I think we can all agree with that. We say or do things that we later regret, she said. We have our blind spots and our biases. And perhaps we are most dangerous to ourselves and others when we are persuaded without a doubt that we are absolutely right and someone else is absolutely wrong. Because then we are just a few steps away from labeling ourselves as good people versus bad people. And then she gave a quote, which I thought was incredibly powerful, which was a quote by Alexander Solzhenitsyn, who said this. He says, he observed that the line of separating good and evil does not pass through states. It is not between classes nor between political parties, but right through every human heart, through all human hearts. And the more we realize this, the more room we have within ourselves for humility and openness to one another across our differences. Because in fact, we are more like one another than we realize, and we need each other. Well, that's pretty much the precepts of the Course, too. But then that makes sense because that's the precepts of every perennial truth. Every great spiritual truth teaching says this same thing. And you really can't get away from it. And that is the message of Christ. That is the message of love, beyond all the dogma, because every religion has its dogma. But we want to get past the dogma to the truth, the unity that connects us all. And when we can understand each other better, whether we like that or not, when we can understand each other better, we can come with more dignity towards each other and thereby experience that dignity within ourselves. If we're angry at the world, it started from within us. If we feel not understood or heard by people, then we need to be understanding and listen to people. If we are just, those people are so wrong and hateful, then we have to be more understanding and compassionate. It is not answering like for like that we're going to get out of this. It is by reaching, as Einstein said, you cannot solve a problem at the level of the problem. You got to rise to the level of the solution. So we can't stay down in the dirt, fighting each other. We got to raise to the level of the solution. Now, there are a lot of people out there that want to keep you in the fight. And, social media, as a matter of fact, she made an interesting point here that sociologists have called the new difficulty in the world. What was it? It was... I'll find it. It was not the empirical, what do they call it? The military industrial complex. It's called the, I'll find it in here in just a moment. If you give me a moment, let's see.
Not technical.
It is the technical industrial complex. I think it's something like that. Talking about social media. And the effects that social media can have on our consciousness and the algorithms in social media. And this is something sociologists are talking about, and we kind of all know this. The goal of social media is to keep you engaged, and so it's going to keep you engaged by enraging you with anger or fear or injustice or lots of things. So I think we as a society might do better kind of limiting our social media for now. I know that sometimes people go, I can't stop. How am I going to keep up with people? Well, you did it before some way. Before social media, maybe you picked up the phone or maybe you wrote a letter. So there are ways to do it, but I kind of think our social media has become kind of a way that people have justified a lot of anger and hate. So we might want to be thinking about that. I thought that was an interesting point. But anyway, the article we talked about today is going to highlight the Course's answer for us. Because the whole point of us studying A Course in Miracles is not just to identify the problem, although it's very important to look at the problem so we can experience the solution, but it's to help us become miracle workers. How do we apply the truth into the world now? And I want to just mention, we got so many comments from people, but I can't read all of them tonight. I'll just hit a couple of comments about it. So if you haven't read the inspirational email, I really suggest you go back and read it, because that'll give you something. And if you want to hear the entire homily or sermon by the bishop from the Washington Cathedral, I encourage you to go to our blog, because we did post. It's 14 minutes long. It's really excellent. But this is from Margaret in California. She just said in all capital letters, "Thank you so much for your wisdom. It'll make a difference. I will make an effort to listen tonight." So we hope you're listening, Margaret. Your ministry is so important. We appreciate that. And I want to make a mention about that. If for some reason, maybe you're tuning in late, or you work, or it's hard for you to hit 7 p.m. here in Southern California, Pacific time in Southern California, remember, as Carrie and Everett did, They have now become subscribers, and so many of you have. That allows you, it's a minimal cost. It's like $5 a meeting. It's a minimal cost charged monthly, and it allows you to watch the meetings at your convenience. Whenever you want to watch them, they're available to you. Plus, you have access to over 550 archived meetings and a private listener board where you can chat with people. But this just makes the meeting accessible anywhere at any time for you. So if you miss the meeting, Margaret, become a subscriber. We'd love to have you join us and welcome you. And Shane in Connecticut, he says, I'm going to stop screaming at the delusions in the world, which I think is a good idea. I loved Michelle in Maryland said, wow, this is one that really rocked my heart and soul. Thank you so much. The emails mean so much to me. Nira in Arizona said, this is a timely message. Every word speaks to me. This week, I got threatened by something and how my mind started blaming and defending the situation. For one day, I absolutely lost my peace because I got caught up in attack. And praying and sitting in meditation constantly, asking for help and peace, the peace came over me. The Holy Spirit never fails. We just need to ask for help, and it is there. And I loved your quotations, and we'll share these in just a minute, about Ram Dass and Martin Luther King Jr., that when we feel threatened, the answer is love, not fear, peace, not war. And so very true. And then Marshall in Oregon, just thank you so much for your essential answer to the worldly problems that confront us. Thank you for reminding me that I need to look directly at the response I'm making in the world and the fear it engenders, and asking that the fear be gently removed. And this is perfect, Marshall, that I need to look directly at the response I'm making to the world, how we're reacting to the things that we see, and the fear that kind of brings up in me, and to ask that fear be gently removed. The Course keeps saying just a little willingness to let our thoughts be healed is all that is needed. And that is so very, very true. And we do need to kind of refocus our attention on the truth constantly. And that's why this section that I just read from chapter 21, Projection Makes Perception, is really such a critical section. And applying that with an echo, I think is helpful. And that's kind of what Frank in Illinois said. He says, I have never encountered a more apt description of our perceptions as an echo. Understanding our perceptions as just an echo helps me with the Course's doctrine that projection makes perception. Since reading your article today, I have viewed my perceptions as mere echoes, and that has made it easier for me not to take them so seriously. Thank you for your valuable insight. And that is really true. I mean, not that there are not some serious things going on, but the Course even says the world will end when we begin to laugh at the things we used to cry about. And that we see that we have some power here. Right now, we've lost our power. Right now, we don't believe we have any power, but we do have power. We do have power to look at this differently. And we can make a magnificent and a healing and a holy change if we do so. If we stop reacting to the echo and start changing our mind about the world. And again, we cannot do that alone. We definitely need the help, and we definitely need something to train our minds. The Course has said many, many times, your mind is crazy. You need a mind training, and that the Course itself is not a brainwashing, but a mind training. We definitely need to train our minds to think with God. Because when we are not thinking with God, as this particular section says in the perception section in chapter 21, everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. That's the truth. And nothing perceived without it means anything. So if we are not thinking with God, we are simply, from this point, doing nothing. And it says, and where there is no meaning, there is chaos. You can put up that last slide about that section, Bill, is where that's found in chapter 21. Yeah, there it is. See where that is? This is really important, folks. Everything looked upon with vision. That means looking within and experiencing the power of God within us now. Everything looked upon with vision is healed and holy. That doesn't mean we're perfect. It means we recognize, kind of like the Bishop of Washington said, we realize the dignity of every human being. We realize the need for honesty, and we realize the need for humility. That's what that means. That's what that's talking about. So that's really very important for us. Everything looked upon from our inward way of looking, not out there, but our change of mind, from the perception, from our minds joined with God, is healed and holy. And then nothing without it, it says, means anything. And where there is no meaning, where you don't have any understanding about anything, of course there's going to be chaos. When there's no one to help guide us, when we are children left alone to our own demise, there is chaos. But you know what? You are not alone. And the answer is here to help you now. And that's what we need to focus on. Let's go to the next slide, Bill. So the Course says, we are not powerless to affect a change. Because, why? Well, we're the ones that cause what we see, right? It is from our own perception, the inward thought, that creates the outer world. You've seen this before. You know, it's like there's a movie, our head has got a movie going in it, right? It's a movie projector. And we project out onto the screen. And so the change has to take place. If you don't like the movie, you got to change what's playing inside. You can't change the screen. I remember when The Last Temptation of Christ was out, the Nikos Kazantzakis movie. And the big thing was Christians were so upset with the portrayal of Christ that they would go to those movie theaters. This was before streaming and everything else. They'd go to those movie theaters and they would cut the screens with knives so you couldn't see. Well, I actually went to a screening or went to a showing of it where a screen had been cut. There was a little cut in it. And I laughed about it because I thought, what difference did it make? Whether the screen was cut, that didn't stop the movie. The movie was still played. I mean, you forgave the cut. You know, if you really wanted to make the change, you had to change the projector. And the same thing is true for us. You know, that's why it said the echo is us. The echo's us. What we're seeing out here, all the things that hurt us, is us. It's powered by us or stopped by our desire to end it, right? To end it. I don't want this anymore. I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. We stop the chaos fueling our unhappiness or our dysfunction. We have to stop it. We have to stop giving it the power to affect us, right? And that's why I pulled up, let's go to the next slide. That's why I pulled up this quote by Ram Dass. Kind of started the article with it and then brought it back again a little bit later. Resistance to the unpleasant situation is the root of suffering. And he was always big at saying, hey, you can't let those little annoyances stay inside of you. You've got to begin to heal them. You've got to begin to let them go. You've got to begin to heal them in some way. Staying in them provides nothing. And this is very Buddhist in its approach to this, the resistance to it. Now, this doesn't mean that if someone is attacking another person, you just go, well, I'm not going to have anything to do with that. No, it's that you are going to be truly helpful, but you don't have to get mad at everybody or the anger and hate doesn't need to get in there. That does nothing. The anger and hate produces anger and hate. The accountability, the I am here, as the Course would say, to be truly helpful. I am here to represent him who sent me. I do not have to worry, as the Course says, what to say or what to do, because he who sent me will direct me, and I am content to be wherever he wishes, knowing that he goes there with me. You know, I'll be healed as I am healed, you know. But the point of it is, he's going to tell you what to do. He's going to send you where you need to go. This is not stepping back and doing nothing. This is finally doing something directed by a holy vision. That's what the Course is talking about. And that's even what Ram Dass is speaking about. The resistance to the unpleasant situation is the root of our suffering. We don't resist the unpleasant situation. We're going to move through it to the truth. If we handle problems and attack with the same energy, then we've got the same problem, right? That's the whole point of this. The world does nothing then but echo back what we are projecting. So we have to stop the insanity. We just have to stop the insanity. We have to stop the chaos, and we have to find and we have to respond purposely in a very healed, as the Course would say, from a healed and holy perspective. And that's basically what Martin Luther King said. Of course, we just celebrated his birthday a couple of days ago. Darkness, it says, cannot drive out darkness. You can't just answer darkness with darkness. Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. And that's the point. We get nowhere responding in like form. We have to handle the problems at the level of healing, not at the level of the insanity. It's so easy to get caught up in the insanity, isn't it? You know, I was thinking about the same echo, because if I echo down to my echo, shut up, what's my echo going to echo back to me? Shut up, you know? And then I go, wait a minute, I don't like him talking to me like that. No, you shut up. And then it goes, no, you shut up. And then it's like, what? No, 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 I told you to shut up. No, 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 I told you. This is what's going on. I want you to think about that the next time you get into an angry shouting match. Who are you fighting with? And is fighting the answer? Is that the goal you want to achieve? Or is the peace of God, as the Course would tell us, a better choice? So let's look at the next slide. Self-responsibility. This means taking responsibility for you. Is that popular? Mm-hmm. No, it's not popular. That's why the Course doesn't have that many people following it. The Course asks a great deal of you, which is why a lot of people, well, they like the workbook lessons, but they're hard. They're asking a lot of me. They ask me to change my mind instead of making everybody else out there. And this is kind of the world we're stuck in right now, where we think other people have to change for us to be happy. Blame and attack seem to be the solution du jour of the moment, right? Blame and attack, blame and attack. That's kind of what we're locked into right now in our country, blame and attack. Got to find somebody to blame, because it can't be us. But the Course says as long as we're projecting that outside of ourselves, we are doing nothing. And we live in a world of chaos. It is so much easier to blame our problems on others than it is to accept the responsibility for the experience we are having. And again, the Course is so powerful about this, where it says it's really not about blame. It's about accepting responsibility for what you see and asking for it to be healed through the power of the one that is within you now, the one that has never left you alone, the power of God that is here to help you. And the answer that can come when you stop blaming and attacking and start refocusing your attention on the truth. And that, of course, is so important. That's why prayer is important. Because prayer quiets our minds and gives us an opportunity to look at what is really taking place, not the chaos of the world. That's nothing. That's just the outward expression of our minds. But where real change can take place is within, as Gandhi said, become the change you want to see. Hugh Prather, for today, his book, Morning Notes, it's the 22nd day of the year, and for his, in the calendar that I have on my desk too, that we don't have a lot of these anymore, but his calendar, but this book was made to kind of become the new calendar in essence. It says, our core is already positive, meaning the truth about us, the essence of who we are, is already positive. Choice is made possible by seeing how we routinely betray our core. That's kind of what we've been saying. Choice is made possible by looking and seeing, what am I experiencing that isn't true? If I look, we'll just read here. If I look at a shadow closely enough, I see that it's merely a shadow. That's all it is. I release my negative impulses and thoughts by giving them more attention, not less. That's the opposite of what we think. We think, don't give it more attention. But you've got to look at what it is that you see so that you can see through it. I release negative impulses and thoughts by giving them more attention, looking at them. Why do they fascinate me so much? Then less. No one acts out a judgment of which they are acutely aware. If I thought that what I was doing was going to harm a segment of society, and I looked at it long enough, I might say, oh, that's probably not a good idea. I could kill people. I could do this. I could do that. But if we ignore it and say, oh, I'm just doing this. This is what I'm supposed to do. That's not, then I don't know who I am. I don't know the holiness and the love and the truth that abides within me now. No one makes a conscious decision to act insanely against their own interests. Let's hope not. We don't get out of this by ignoring it. We get out of this by looking clearly through at the problem to the truth. That's what the Course would say. That's what this is about. And I want to mention that Lynn in California kind of shared this. She says, the echo and reinforcing A Course in Miracles sections really have been so helpful to me in this article. I often look at what I disagree with and say to myself, this situation is not real, and then I move on. But your article reminded me to take the loving hand of Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and see it as an echo from my mistaken mind. Acknowledge I shouted first, then give my shout or my attack thoughts to the Holy Spirit for correction. Oh, thank you, Lynn. I'm so glad that you got that, because that's the point, folks. You don't just say, oh, this is an illusion. It doesn't exist. It does exist. It exists to you. And if your illusions are helping are hurting other people, then that's not helpful. We need to look at these things that are causing pain and disruption and chaos. With the hand of the Holy Spirit, we need to look through them to the truth. And that's what this is about. This is about. Let's put the slides back up. If we do what Hugh was asking us in his thought, if we do that, we can focus on the truth and not the distractions. If we're going to look at the problem, we can focus on the truth and not the distractions. Because distractions are, the point of a distraction is what? To distract. You know, that's the point of a distraction. A distraction, just like the ego is a magician. You know, the point of the ego is to get you to look somewhere else while he's doing the trick. You know, in a magic trick, a magician does a lot of hoop-de-doo over here, and the trick is going on, well, down over here, right? Or back over there, or over there. But they get you to look over here with all their stuff. And that's what the ego does. It's the distraction of the ego is to say, look at there. Look at how bad they are. Look at all the things they're doing. Look at all that. Look at that. It makes you so angry, right? Don't ever look at where the trick has taken place. And certainly don't ever look at yourself. So why don't you read that quote, Paul?
Can I just make a few
yes,
comments?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
One of the things that we do in our intercity children's course, Kid Singers, is that we put on the concerts, and we usually look for themes of which concert, what the concert's going to be about. And this, for our spring concert this year, I have to say, really since November elections and so on, we've decided on kind of a theme of We Are the World, of making a change in the world. And so we're doing that song that Lionel Richie and Michael Jackson wrote in the middle 80s that was really trying to bring people together from that disastrous earthquake in Mexico City in 1985, I think it was. And so they wrote this beautiful song, and we've been learning it now in Kid Singers, but it parallels so much of what we've been talking about now. We are the world, we are the people, we are the ones to make a better day. So let's start giving. Yeah. And so it's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true. We can make a better day for you and me. Mm-hmm. And it's such an inclusive thought, and then put with the power of music expressing that. I hope that's really going to have an effect on our audiences and the world. And this whole idea that you mentioning today, this echo, has really struck me because I'm very grateful again for how the Course instructs us and how you get to the nub of it in your teaching of all of us and yourself as we're going through this together. And I love this whole idea that it starts, just as Jesus taught in the Bible, it starts with our minds. The Course is always some mind training. And every time we have that attack thought, it's just like that, and you've already said it, I know, but it's just like that attack thought is coming back to us. Mm-hmm. And so then I didn't get rid of it, so let's try it again, in our ignorance or in our inability to let go and let this spiritual resource inside of us have, take over, basically. But it does take, and it isn't easy, and I agree, but I'm glad I'm on that path because I'm empowered. Excuse me, I'm empowered by that.
Yeah.
Every time I go through any kind of a thing that's, oh God, this is terrible, I'm empowered by that because I know I can continue to make that difference, saving my life and saving the world's life through my thoughts and my attitudes as I reach that healing point that the Course is teaching us to. So anyway, we're ready for me.
Yeah, no, but that's so very, very true, and you hope that that's going to also affect the kids, I mean, it's one thing to affect an audience, but I know that when we teach these kids these songs, that it's 1985, none of them were born then, and in a lot of ways, it's a different culture. These kids are in an entirely different culture. Most kids are, but a lot of our kids are Hispanic and they're from immigrant communities, and it's hard for them to believe that they can make a better world with all that is going on in our world and the frightening types of things that are taking place and the ICE raids that have been promised, and those are scary things. And we keep helping them to understand you can make a better world through your little light, the truth about you can make a change. And so these kinds of songs just kind of reinforce those truths. It's important for them.
It's very true because I feel like you can see these things as terrible or you can see them as an opportunity, right, a crisis that we can find ourselves to be empowered with or to be destroyed by.
Yeah.
So let's, with the Course's help, with the Holy Spirit's help, with God's help, with just love's help, boil it down to that. Love and respect for our fellow human being, like the Course is teaching over and over and over again. We can't separate ourselves from our brother.
No, absolutely not. Anyway, go ahead.
The distractions of the ego may seem to interfere with your learning, but the ego has no power to distract you unless you give it the power to do so. The ego's voice is an hallucination. You cannot expect it to say, I am not real. Yet you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations alone. You are merely asked to evaluate them in terms of their results to you. If you do not want them on the basis of loss of peace, they will be removed from your mind for you. I love the sentence there. You are merely asked to evaluate them in terms of their results to you.
Yeah.
So in other words, when we're informing ourselves, is attack really making us feel better? Maybe in just a small moment it does because I've gotten that out, but it has no lasting effect to make us feel better. And so that's why it says, let the Course, let these principles, let these ideas take root in you, take the seed in you and let it grow from that chaos, from that chaos of attack. And that's what the Course brings to it. It's almost bringing me to tears now to think that we are on the cusp of this, and it's our time to really get to work, not being more political, just being more aware of where our thoughts are coming from, and that way we can affect change in the world.
Well, I think we need to stop saying I don't want to be political. Well, political means of the people. So, you are political simply by being of the people. So the fact is you cannot look at your world and say, oh, politics, I don't want anything to do with it. That's just politics. Well, it's just like the echo, right? You put it out there. You're just getting it back. So I'm sorry, you'd like to say, I don't do that. I'm not political, but you are. That's why this is so very important. The distractions of the ego may seem to interfere with your learning, and your learning is, oh, this has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with you. Everything to do with you. This world has everything to do with you. But that's good. That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Because if it has everything to do with you, then you can make a change. If it has nothing to do with you, then you are impotent to make any change in your life that is helpful or healing in any way. You're lost. But that's not true. The ego has no power, it says, to do anything to you to distract you unless you give it the power to do so. The ego's voice is just a hallucination. You cannot expect it to ever say, oh, by the way, you know what? I'm not real. That was, forget it. I was just teasing. You really are a holy child of God. It is going to fight tooth and nail. I mean, as the Course says, it fights tooth and nail to keep its reality. You are not asked, though, to dispel any of this. You just have to look at this. This is not real. This is not the truth of who I am. I need to look at that and evaluate them from these terms. It says you are not asked to dispel your hallucinations. You're merely asked to evaluate them in terms of the results to you. If you don't like them on the basis of loss of peace, then they can be removed from your mind for you. So if you don't like politics because it brings you lack of peace, you don't get rid of it, folks, just like we said before, by ignoring it. But what did Hughes say? Looking straight through it to the truth. You got to look at it and say, this causes me upset. So I need to look at it and ask for help to see this differently. That's what the Course says. You've got to look straight through this to the truth. Let's move on to the next slide. It's just like the ego, or just like the echo, the echo. The ego is just not real. It's just a distraction, right? It's just another way of projecting yourself out. It was born out of a mistaken thought of separation. That's all. The ego was born out of a thought that we could be separate from each other, we could be separate from our Creator, that something could happen, that there could be an opposite to love's presence, that fear could be trumped by love, and that our Creator could end up being unlike himself, meaning abandon you, not love you, think you're bad and throw you out. He cannot do anything unlike himself. And so his constant will for you, as the Course says over and over again, is perfect happiness. It's healing, it's help. We are not the hallucinations of the ego. And that's kind of important for us to understand that. I know the ego wants you to just say, well, if I'm a hallucination, so are you. No, you're my echo. I started it. So I got the power to stop it. The only way to heal is through the truth, not through your illusions, not through attack, hate, projection, fear, all those things. And I know, Paul, you were saying something that's very, very real, which is, we think that attacking kind of gives us a charge. But if you notice that people who attack have to attack more and more and more, got to have bigger attacks, more attacks, just on and on and on, because the charge is gone real fast. Because you can't join in hate, really.
It's about as addictive as a drug addiction or any other
you
kind
got
of
to keep
addiction.
getting more.
You got to keep getting more and more of it.
Yeah. Let's go on to the next slide, Bill. So the point of it is, if we really want a better way, then we have to look clearly at any of those things that are going on in our world. We have to look at them clearly to the truth. We have to look for the choices that we have. And that's why this is a great section in the Manual for Teachers that says, stop for a moment now and think of this. Is conflict what you want? Or is God's peace a better choice? What do you want? Which gives you more? It goes on to say, a tranquil mind is not a little gift. Would you not rather live than choose to die? And that's really very important, because when we are in chaos, we are dead. Let's go on to the next slide, because this is very important. It says, if life is simply attack, defend, or attack, defend, repeat, then it's hopeless. If we're always just going to attack and defend and then repeat, attack, defend, get up yet to attack, defend the next day, then it is hopeless. It's an exhausting, tireless, or tiring life. In this scenario, as the Course says, when this is how we live, it says we are dead. because it says you do not know who you are. You're dead to your reality, so you might as well be dead. And in essence, the Course equates death to this, not to the end of the body. Death is not the end of the body. Death is this way of thinking. That's what the Course says. Why? Because you're cut off from your source. If you are cut off from your source, then you are dead. And when you think in attack defense, you are not joining your mind with God. Therefore, you are dead. Death, as it says in lesson 163, which is there is no death, that beautiful lesson, the Son of God is free, says this: death is, here are all the things that kill you. Sadness, fear, anxiety, anxiety or doubt, fear, anger, faithlessness, and lack of trust, concern for bodies, envy, and all forms in which you wish to be as you are not may come to tempt you. So all forms in which you wish to be separate from your brother, in which you wish to hate others to make yourself better, they are dead. They are dead thoughts. You are not alive to your reality. I know sometimes some of this stuff just seems overwhelming. How do we do this? Okay, I'm kind of getting it. It makes sense to me. It's an echo and all this other. It's hard to learn another way, right? I mean, that's really what the Course, and it does say this to us, especially when the powerful out in our world revert to attacking the most vulnerable, to fear-mongering, and using name-calling and bullying tactics. That's kind of what's happening in our world right now. Pushing people around. We got to be tough with everybody, because that's the only way for people to learn. That's the only way to gain power. But we are not powerless to learn the lessons that really seem so unlike us. And so I'm going to give you this section that is actually in, I think, what section is it? Oh, the Test of Truth. Wonderful section in the Course, the Test of Truth. It's in chapter 14? I think so. Let's go to the next slide, Bill. And I'm going to have Tess read those first couple of paragraphs here.
Do not be concerned about how you can learn a lesson so completely different from everything you have taught yourself. How would you know? Your part is very simple. You need only recognize that everything you learned, you do not want. Ask to be taught, and do not use your experiences to confirm that you have learned. When your peace is threatened or disturbed in any way, say to yourself, I do not know what anything, including this, means, and so I do not know how to respond to it. And I will not use my own past learning as the light to guide me now.
Yeah. Do you want to comment on that at all?
Just sometimes I think that when we start working on changing our minds, sometimes we're still getting the echoes of the thoughts we projected out there before. And so sometimes we might think it's not working, but it is working. It's just taking the little bit of extra time to catch up on it. So I think it's good not to worry, oh my gosh, this isn't working. I'm not doing the right thing. No, you're doing the right thing if you are changing your thoughts. Right. And give that echo a little bit of time to just come back to you and show you, reaping the rewards of what you're now thinking.
Right. And, it's kind of true. I mean, when you do an echo, it takes a second, it takes a beat to reflect it back. And you can kind of see it it dissipates a little bit, right? As you put the echo out there, it kind of dissipates, which is probably why the ego likes to just follow attack, defend with more attack, because I'm losing my attack power. So we kind of keep it going. And I think that's why making your point is good, where it says, do not be concerned how you can learn a lesson so completely different from everything that you have taught yourself. Because I think that's hard for us to say, how in the world can I change all of this history? And one of the things I wrote about in the Holy Encounter, the recent article in the Holy Encounter, I don't even remember what everything just goes so fast here. I don't even have my issue of the Holy Encounter in front of me. Anyway, our latest issue of the Holy Encounter, the article I wrote, talked about our ancient learning. And the Course talks about in a few places not only how ancient our learning is, so imagine the echoes, that are being reflected back from ancient learning. But then it talks about the ancient overlearning. So it's not just learning, but we've overlearned these chaotic thoughts and these chaotic ideas over and over. And they're massively entrenched into us, and it seems almost impossible to get ourselves, if you've ever been in a rut, if your tire ever got in a rut in a muddy road, it seems almost impossible to get ourselves out of it. And if all we do is spin our wheels in the same old way we've always done it, we just dig a deeper hole. But if you can just get a little leverage, a different way that can come into our consciousness and kind of lift us out of it, that's what this is talking about. That there is another way, as it says in here. Don't be concerned how you can learn a lesson so completely different from everything you've taught yourself. I mean, how would you know? Your part is simply, as it says there, you need only recognize that everything you've learned, all this ancient stuff, that's why the early workbook lessons are so important. It's asking you to kind of loosen your attachment to those things. That's why every time I go through these workbook lessons again, look, I've been doing this since 1977. I'm a spiritual master or a slow learner. So slow learner probably is the choice. 48 years with this same idea. So it takes a while for us to unleash these ancient overlearning. Ask to be taught, to ask for help. You don't know it all. Do not use your experiences. That's what you're kind of saying. You can't say, well, is it working? Is it working? It's like a watch pot never boils. So you can't keep looking to confirm what you have learned. When your peace is threatened, just say this, and that's a beautiful prayer. I'm going to let you make.
Yeah, I just wanted to take off a little bit what Tess was saying is that I think in our healing, the Course is trying to bring to us. Yes, we start introducing the Course thoughts. And then, yes, sometimes the ego voice, many times the ego voice comes back, but look at it like your physical healing. I know when we went through, right at the early days, before we even knew it was really COVID, about 5 years ago, we had come back from a trip, and I think we all got COVID because it took about a month to get over. And I remember when getting better, though, the cough was a little bit less there, and the more the healing occurred, the cough dissipated. And it's like our spiritual healing. Doesn't mean you're not going to hear the voice of the ego. But what it does mean to me in my experience of it is that I can hear it and I'm aware of it, and I spend less time giving it any kind of power.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you are working for that healing, because you're participating in it, and you're realizing, oh, there's power in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back to that thought there real quick, Bill, the prayer part, because this is so very, very important, where it says, I do not know what anything including this is for, and so I do not know how to respond to it, and I will not use, and this is the important line, my own past learning as the light to guide me now. Because that's again, it's the early workbook lessons. I have to lift my mind out of what I think I've learned, and I know we can what's kind of personally insulting. I'm a smart person, I've done all that. It's not insulting you. It's just saying you've learned a lot of lessons, probably learned them real well, but they're not really the truth. That's why I think it was Mark Twain who said, it's not that people don't know things. People know a lot of things. It's just they know a lot of things that just ain't so. And that's kind of the truth in our society right now. We know a lot of things, frankly, folks, that just ain't so. And it needs to be relearned, not only when it comes to our world and circumstances, but what this is talking about. So let's read the next couple of lines there in this section. Again, an excellent section.
By this refusal to attempt to teach yourself what you do not know, the guide whom God has given you will speak to you. He will take his rightful place in your awareness the instant you abandon it and offer it to him. Really important that being pliant enough to release that to the greater power within you. You cannot be your guide to miracles, for it is you who made them necessary, and because you did, the means on which you can depend for miracles has been provided for you. God's Son can make no needs his Father will not meet, if he but turn to him ever so little. kind of goes back to what this Bishop Buddy was saying today. You know, none of us are perfect, but we're looking in a more perfect way, like our union, our United States was in our Constitution, always looking for a perfect way. Does not mean we are all perfect, but we're looking to collaborate our own healing with others' healing. And then we see, as the Course says, in our healing, other people are healed. It's like the good echo. You know, I will be healed through the power of the Spirit. Oh, we're saying that affirmation for all of us, because there is no separation in us.
Well, and again, like that thought in the I am here only to be truly helpful prayer that says I will be healed as I let him teach me to heal. You know, I can't be healed if I am not being the instrument of healing. So I think this has got a lot of good points where it says, by this refusal, through that prayer, I do not know what anything, including this, is for, and so I do not know how to respond to it, and I will not use my own past learning as the light to guide me now. It says, by this refusal to attempt to teach yourself something that you really do not know, then the guide that God has given you can speak to you, because then you stop. You stop adding what you think is going on and let him come in and speak to you. You've got to get quiet. That's why those early lessons are kind of about just take a minute. You don't have to agree with this or not agree with this. Just take a minute and try it and be quiet. Stop your judging of everything for just a moment. He will take his rightful place in your awareness the instant that you abandon it and offer it to him. And then it goes on to say, you cannot be your guide for miracles. And this is an important statement too, because it is you who made them necessary. You made miracles necessary. Before, we thought we could be separate from one another, separate from God, separate from our source, that there could be an opposite to love. None of this was necessary. We didn't need miracles, because a miracle is really just something. A miracle is utilitarian. That's why when we go through these 50 miracle principles, they're just utilitarian. They're telling you the truth of who you are. That's it, period. And if you knew who you were, you wouldn't need something to tell you what you were. You wouldn't need something to put under the tire that's digging the ditch deeper and deeper. You'd be out of the ditch. You'd already be out of it. You wouldn't have gotten in it in the first place. But because we are in a ditch, we need a miracle to kind of jack us out of the ditch, is what this is saying. For it is you who made them necessary by thinking there could be an opposite to love. And because you did, the means on which you can depend for miracles has been provided for you. So here's what happened. You screwed up. God said, hey, you screwed up. And he said, but that's okay. I'm going to take care of it. You're okay. And you went, huh? I am? And I'm still living in my screw up echo, right? Boonga, 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 boonga. It keeps coming back. You screwed up, you screwed up, you screwed up, and you screwed up. But because of who he is, you can depend on him. God's Son can make no needs his Father will not meet. I need this, I need that. So he'll meet your needs. If he but turn to him ever so slightly, meaning if we but turn to him ever so slightly. So let's go on to the next slide, Bill. Let us not then deny the choices, the echoes. We don't want to deny them, the echoes of our chaotic world, okay? Look at those chaotic things and use them as doorways for healing. Don't deny them. Don't say, oh, that's a nasty person. Don't say they were dumb or they didn't know what they were talking about. Use that as a doorway to healing. Look at insanity, which is out there right now. We can clearly see it. And through it, to what has been promised us, the miracle that is standing in shining silence next to every dream of pain and suffering and sin and guilt. It's there. The answer to your problems right now are there for you. It's not in denying the world that we will escape its consequences, but by looking straight at it with the help of the Holy Spirit and through it to the truth. We're not alone, right? That's what this is saying. Echoes can't stop us. But we have to step back from the fray and let those miracles replace our grievances. That's what we have to do. If we're going to get there, that's what we have to do. And so we're going to do it, and we're not going to do that right now, Bill. We're going to do a little meditation right now to kind of reinforce these thoughts. We're going to use the thought, the review lesson, lesson 98.
89.
I'm sorry, I'm dyslexic. Lesson 89. To kind of reinforce these ideas about the power of miracles. We may not be able to get to any of the 50 miracle principles tonight, but we're definitely going to get to that as we pursue these next few weeks and months to really look at these. Because if these are our little levers to get out of the ditch, then it's important that we look at them and understand that they're just little helps for us to get kind of back on track, to remember the truth of who we are. And so I want to do this lesson right now. So just join me in closing your eyes. Let's take a deep breath. As we slowly release this breath, let's affirm, I am entitled to miracles. Because you are. We are entitled to miracles because we are under no laws but God's. Feel that. We are not under the echoes of the world. We are not under all of the problems of our physical bodies. We are not under all the problems of our politics. We are not under all the problems of even the climate experiences. We are under no laws but God's. We are entitled to release from all of this because we are His children. His laws release us. They release us from all grievances and replace them with miracles, and that's why we can feel peace right here, right now. He can release us from the suffering by replacing them with miracles. He can release us from our anger and hate by replacing them with miracles. He can release us from those things that are so pressing on us, the feelings of unworth, valuelessness, depression, fear. He can replace them with miracles because you are entitled to them. Ask for them now. I ask for your miracles, Father, instead of the grievances I hold about others and myself. And I would accept the miracles in place of those grievances because they are simply illusions that hide the miracle that is beyond, the miracle that waits for me in shining silence next to every thought of fear and anger, sin and guilt. Now would we accept only the laws of God. Only the laws that God wants us to experience and that He has made us entitled to. Let us accept those laws that we may use them on behalf of the function that He has given us to be a miracle worker, to be His instrument in this world right now. You can do it. You have a mighty power within you now. Do not deny this truth. Behind whatever is going on in your life is a miracle to which you are entitled. Let's accept that now. But let's also remember that we cannot accept the truth about ourselves if we choose to hold on to grievances. And so we ask that our miracles replace all those grievances. Because by doing this, we unite our will with the Holy Spirit's. and we can perceive our wills as one. By this idea of replacing all grievances with miracles, do we accept our release from hell? We have no idea what we will experience when we are released from the oppression of these grievances. By this idea that we can replace them, that we can be released from them, that we are willing to do so, do we express our willingness to have all our illusions replaced with truth, according to God's plan for our salvation? And so we turn to you, Father. We would make no exceptions and no substitutes. We don't want a little bit of heaven. We want all of heaven and only heaven, as God wills us to have. Because we are entitled to miracles. And right now, in your life and the life of those in our prayer ministry, whatever it is you may be going through, you're entitled to miracles. Say that with me. I am entitled to miracles. And let's say it again. I am entitled to miracles. And keep saying it, friends. Keep saying it. Keep affirming it. It is God's will for you, and therefore it is your will as well. Do not falter in this. Do not get again caught in the fray of the world and the echoes and the distractions of the ego. You are entitled to miracles. It is God's will that you be released from the pain and suffering of this world, that you be lifted to heaven and only heaven, because that's God's will for us. So for you, for those in our prayer ministry tonight, for all who walk this world with us, remember, we are entitled to miracles, but miracles cannot take from one and give to another. Miracles are the expressions of love made manifest in our lives. We are entitled to them because they have always been the truth. It is not something new. It is alien to us to think opposite to this. So let us embrace the truth right now within our beings and ask, Father, that this be and your will and way be our eyes, our ears, our hands, our feet, as we move forward into this week, expressing miracles and experiencing only your miracles. And we thank you. And together we say, Amen. We didn't really get a chance to get into, thank you, Paul, thank you. This is so powerful. These sections in the course about I am entitled to miracles and let miracles replace grievances. These review lessons are incredibly powerful. So when you get to those review lessons, do not run by them. These are great lessons and such great material. There was one last slide, Bill, that I had that you put up right before the meditation. Let's go ahead and put that up again, because this is what we are going to work on next week. Our task is but to continue, the Course says, as fast as possible, the necessary process of looking straight at all the interferences and seeing it exactly as it is. That's what a miracle does. It speeds us up past all the limitations. You can put it down now, Bill. Past all the limitations of the world and speeds us on to the truth, the answer that is within us now. We're going to do this next week. Join us as we share these miracles, these 50 miracle principles that can speed us quickly to the truth. It's time for a celestial speed up, folks. We need healing now. We need to accept that we are entitled to miracles and are under no laws but God's right now. And I want to thank you so much for joining with us, and we will see you next week. God bless you. Bye-bye.
Thank you for being part of Miracle Distribution Center's weekly live stream meeting on A Course in Miracles. As with all our services, production costs for this live stream are funded by the generosity of donors like you. The suggested donation is $10, but feel free to give whatever you can. Please consider making a contribution by clicking on the Donate to Support These Broadcasts button above. Your tax-deductible donations are critical to keeping this live stream available, as well as the many free services offered by Miracle Distribution Center, such as the Holy Encounter magazine, our weekly live stream meeting available on demand by subscription. Enjoy a weekly inspirational article by Beverly sent by email every Wednesday. Our Course in Miracles lookup with the entire text of A Course in Miracles, workbook for students, and manual for teachers, all available online. Also, you can receive your free daily lesson from A Course in Miracles every morning in your email inbox or by text. Join our Miracle Prayer Ministry every day at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time. The Prison Project sends course-based materials to incarcerated individuals. Send us a photo of yourself as a child, and we'll include it on our Wall of Innocence. Make a pledge for peace and watch our virtual globe light up with peace around the world. Or create and send an e-card with a Course message to family or friends. Have a quote chosen just for you each time you visit our Choose a Quote page. And see our worldwide map of Course study groups and online meetings. If you would like to watch this meeting again and have access to meetings in our video archives, please consider becoming a weekly subscriber. More information is available below. Thank you for joining us this week.